Hello everybody, what is up, and welcome to the one and only episode 2 of the official PlayStation podcast of PlaystationFollower, the PS ProCast. My name is Christian Buckley, and I'm joined by fellow PSF member Omar Nakvi.
Hey.
So if you don't know, the PS ProCast is where myself, Omar, and maybe some PSN friends now and then get together and talk PlayStation and everything going on in the gaming industry every single week. It's broken up into 4 different segments that get released Monday through Thursday, and then the show in its entirety gets posted on Friday on our YouTube channel or as an MP3 on SoundCloud, which is linked down below. So this is the second time we're doing this. We got a lot of good feedback on the first episode. We're going to be taking a lot of that into consideration moving forward, so we really appreciate any input you guys have. Yeah, let's get right into everything. Omar, how are you doing right now?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks. You?
I'm good. It was midterms, so lots of studying, not a lot of gaming.
Mm-hmm.
But how's the Switch treating you?
I'm a big fan. I really like docking and undocking it. That Zelda game is really good. So far, I'm impressed.
Alright, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm probably going to be getting one soon. But so I know the Switch has been eating up a lot of your time, but you've also been working on Horizon, right?
Yep, I've been playing a lot of Horizon.
What do you think of it so far?
It's all right. I think it's one of the most gorgeous games I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really stunning when you play it. I really like the world and universe, and the combat is pretty fun too. But it's kind of reminds me just of a standard Ubisoft or Far Cry open world game where you're just checking off your objectives and stuff. And the writing so far, while I love the universe that they've made, the dialogue is kind of iffy, and the voice acting sounds a bit stilted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really too sure what to think of it so far, but it's interesting. I definitely want to see the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, those are more along the lines of first impressions, I know. So you're probably a decent chunk into the first act, right?
You probably. Is the game divided into acts?
I'm just assuming, normally it's...
Yeah, I think, I've done a few 4 or so main quests, maybe? I don't know.
Well, that's interesting. I know a lot of the stuff I've been reading and watching has been praising Horizon for, one, its visuals, which I've seen it does look incredible, especially on a base PS4, which is really cool. And on a Pro, it actually looks pretty damn worth it.
Yeah, it looks like if you had a 4K TV, it would look really good on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of praise for the visuals and, like you were saying, on the lore of the world and the gameplay, but most of the negativity has come from like you said, the writing. Not so much the voice acting of Aloy, but just sort of the writing behind her character, and same goes with most of the NPCs, right?
Yeah, I would say most of them sound definitely sounds a bit stilted when you talk to them, and their writing is kind of one note, or just looking for their kid or something, or some item.
Like I was saying, I did have midterms this week, but I've been meaning to get back into The Witcher 3.
That's a good game.
It is. It's very dense, though. So
it's huge.
My story with Witcher 3, really quick, was I picked it up launch day. That summer, I probably put in around, I want to say 50 or so hours, and I didn't even catch up with Ciri yet, so I was doing a lot of side quests. The past few months I've been wanting to get back into it, and I picked it up. I put probably a half hour into where I left off, and I just ended up starting a new profile and relearning the game, but that world is just astounding with the amount of work they put in.
It's very well crafted, I think. Yeah. It's based on a book series, right? A lot of universe to pick at.
Yeah, Witcher is definitely a masterclass when it comes to world building, but my complaint with The Witcher and the reason it lost me for a while was just because it was so dense, and I guess that's partly on me because I wasn't fully committing to the main quest and it wasn't really grabbing me, but that world, just exploring it, was really something. So I know you're not far into Horizon, but from what you've seen, I think it would be interesting to compare it to some of the more notable open world titles in the sort of same vein as Horizon over the past few years.
Yeah, I mean they're both The Witcher and Horizon feel like kind of fantasy, right?
Hmm.
Horizon has a much better uh, and involving combat and gameplay, right? Like the actual feel of fighting people in Horizon feels very much active, where The Witcher kind of feels like sometimes you're mashing buttons and also don't know where to counter and stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But Horizon is a very well playing video game. It feels exceptionally well to play. I don't know how much with The Witcher 3 you're playing with like a bow and arrow, right? Are you just mainly using melee?
Yeah, mostly swords.
Yeah, I think Horizon actually, the melee in that is pretty bad.
Oh, really?
It's just like a one stab thing, but
Yeah, because I remember the only long range stuff in Witcher was you had a crossbow and you could use the signs, which is basically just magic.
yeah, I think the only time I remember using a crossbow in The Witcher was like the first like Griffin fight, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was basically the only time I used it because I remember the aiming or the reloading for that was just awful for as far as consistency goes with using it. But
Yeah.
how does the size of Horizon feel so far?
I don't know yet because I think I'm in the first area, but like it feels pretty big. I'm not too sure. I have zoomed out in the map. It looks decently big. Witcher 3 is kind of a huge game. I don't know. It probably is bigger, I'd imagine, but no idea.
Yeah, well, Witcher is segmented into sort of three main areas. If I'm
Like,
remembering right,
I
but
remember Velen and Skellige,
mhm.
and I
There
don't
was
know.
one more. Oh, there was the place where the keep is, like the Witcher training camp,
Yeah,
whatever region that was. But so with Horizon, it's more contained as far as traveling around the world goes. With Witcher, it was more segmented just because of how big it was. But
yeah. I mean, I think The Witcher, you could probably like go to Skellige within the first hour of the game if you wanted to, right?
yeah,
Or
it was just a matter of like going to the map and picking you wanted to go to a different region.
yeah,
Like it wasn't like seamless. It was always a cutscene between traveling between the three or four main regions in the game.
well, if you like get on a boat though, can't you go to Skellige with like no loading screen?
I think with that you could because Skellige was a smaller region. It was more of an island.
Right.
But with as far as the landlocked areas go, you couldn't just seamlessly travel from one to the other.
Okay.
I know side quests have been pushed as far as Horizon goes. How many of those do you say you've encountered so far?
One cool thing about Horizon is that they actually like have categories for the side quests. They will divide them into like actual side quests and also errands, which are the standard. Hey, go get this, fetch this thing for me, bring it back. I'll give you XP, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the side quests in there, definitely more writing than I expected in those.
What would you compare it to?
If you want to compare it to The Witcher 3, I think you could. But the reason I loved The Witcher 3 was the dialogue and writing in those side quests was like better than the main game's quest.
Oh yeah.
So like I think Horizon is side quest and main side quest writing and dialogue is not nearly as great as that, but it's definitely nicer than just taking an errand and just getting a fetch quest.
Yeah.
It gives you a little bit more of an incentive to go do a thing.
Do you think it's more along the lines of something like a Bethesda open world RPG as opposed to like a CD Projekt Red or another JRPG like Final Fantasy or something like that?
Well, I think it might be closer to probably one of those. I think with Bethesda games is usually like I'm not really too big on the writing of Bethesda games,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes they do have some really good side quests in there, which I'm sure Horizon probably does too. But yeah, I there are a lot of side quests in Bethesda games where I'm just doing it just because I need the XP, and a lot of the side quests in those two are just fetch quests as well.
Yeah, I feel like Fallout 4 fell into that trap.
Yeah,
Of,
just like needing to do it for XP.
yeah, most of the side quests in Fallout 4 didn't really grab me as much as they did in something like Skyrim or from what I put into something like Fallout New Vegas.
Right.
Yeah, Bethesda, I think, is more hit or miss when it comes to their side quests as opposed to someone like a CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, they are really good at writing those guys. They make you feel involved in all these quests.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I'm getting is that Horizon side quests sort of fall between a Bethesda and a CD Projekt Red, and it's more like intriguing as far as the main story goes is what's pulling you along, and the side quests are there to just fill out the world.
It seems so far, but again, I'm very early on in the game, so
That's good to hear about as far as the variety goes for Horizon, because like the fetch quest missions, are those limited to just being side quests from what you've done so far? Are any of them forced, or is it just like there if you want it?
I think they're just there if you want it. I think the first one I got, I probably could have skipped, but I don't think it's ever like forcefully handed me a side quest. Oftentimes, you'll talk to an NPC unknowingly, and then by the end of the conversation, you'll have a new side quest, which is kind of cool.
So yeah, it's good to hear about Horizon building that world, because it definitely is probably the most interesting thing they have going for it.
It's cool, man. I really want to know of how it got to that state, so I'm excited because it's like set after us, right? Like it has to be because there are robot dinosaurs and stuff.
I was just yesterday I was going back to look at some E3 stuff for a topic we're going to be talking about a little bit later, but yeah, I watched one of the gameplay trailers of Horizon from, I think it was 2015 when they first showed it off. Yeah, they showed the world as it was before the overgrowth and everything. So it like the skyscrapers and skyline of the city they were showing in the sort of montage voiceover about how we came to this.
Yeah.
I got Killzone vibes from it, like just from how the city looked, and I guess that's sort of natural considering what Guerrilla's pedigree is, but
Yeah.
it made me think, like, what if this is post Killzone?
Oh, you think?
I mean, probably not, but
See, the thing about Killzone was it was like cross-planetary, so like they were going to all around the space, right?
I don't remember, honestly.
I thought like eventually like the Helghast had a planet and you go there in Killzone 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like if space travel was a thing, Horizon couldn't exist. Because like then you'd have like an alien buddy coming in to help you out
Yeah, that's true.
and to tell you because the people in Horizon don't know at all what happened in the previous world, which is kind of cool.
Right, yeah, well, have they alluded towards anything about how far ahead it is?
Not really. Just I've never seen a robot dinosaur like today
Yeah.
in today's world.
Yeah.
But the game has like outposts like Far Cry does, right? That you go and you take. So I went to one in like I guess it was called like Devil's Grief Camp or something, but there totally is like a skyscraper in there that's like totally been like wrecked over the years. It's kind of neat. I think Aloy says something about I wonder what the old ones were like, saying about the, like talking about I guess us as like being some kind of gods or whatever.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
It's neat. There's some cool world building stuff in that game.
In that E3 presentation I watched, Guerrilla said this is our next franchise, Horizon. So it definitely is continuing as Sony's next big thing, because critically and I guess gamer-wise, it seems pretty positively received.
Yeah.
Aside from a smaller array of criticisms, but moving forward, if they flesh out this world even more over the rest of the PS4 generation, and even if it bleeds into the PS5 or whatever's next, I think it's going to be really cool seeing what Guerrilla has in store for this world.
It's already incredibly more exciting than Killzone is, I think. But like also though, I hope that at the end of this game I do get my answers, and it's not like they've spec'd it out for a whole trilogy. Like I want to know what happened when I fully invest my 40 or 50 hours into this game and get my ending. Right?
I forget who it was. I think it was the Easy Allies review said that Horizon was really good because it gave you answers early on as to stuff they brought up. Where, when some games are like, oh, we'll talk about that at another time, and then the person dies, and then, like, you don't find out until the sequel.
Yeah.
Apparently with Horizon, what it's been doing is, like, it raises something based on something you see in the environment or something someone says, and at the end of that mission or the next mission, it gets answered. So it's like, it's answers early on, and it keeps you going. That's what I've been hearing about the main story.
That sounds awesome. Because like I hate it when games are being built as a trilogy. Like talking about the new Mass Effect game, I hope that the game has a definitive ending, right? And it's not like, oh, we expected that to be a trilogy, and we'll give you answers in the sequel, but not right now.
Yeah, so as far as Mass Effect goes, though, I think that they've been marketing it as its own installment, but yeah, Andromeda, the way they've been talking about it, sounds like it's not a side story or a spin-off really, but it's like it's sort of relatively contained because it's an offshoot, but yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be stuff that gets brought up in that doesn't get resolution until Andromeda 2 or whatever they do after that, but as far as Horizon goes, I think framed the way it is when it comes to the story, from what you've been saying and from what I've been reading, sounds like it's good with the world building, and that makes me happy because Sony having a new IP that's interesting and different, it just adds to something for me, because one of the main reasons I like PlayStation so much is just because of the exclusives.
Yeah.
Not even because I can be like, oh, haha, sorry, Xbox, but like, yeah, it's just something about the studios they have.
Sony has always been, well, not always, but like I think when the PS3 was having its slump in the first 2 years, they got really good about getting these first-party studios to put out like great and interesting content.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think going back to like I think the PS3 last generation was so interesting because of all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at someone like Microsoft right now, who's like taking their studios like a 343 and the Collision or whatever, who are just making either Gears or Halo forever. I don't think Sony's ever treated a developer like that.
Yeah, we'll just look at Naughty Dog.
Right, exactly. They get their free reign to do anything they want, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
And even Horizon came out a bit less than a year after Uncharted 4 did.
yeah,
And Uncharted 4 is shelved, or Uncharted as a series is shelved right now, and Horizon filled its place in less than a year.
yeah, that'd be cool. I could see that totally happening. And when you see their stuff too, like they're making that, they got Sony Bend making Days Gone and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They got Insomniac working on, I guess not new IP, but totally a new Spider-Man franchise, right?
Yeah. Yeah, as far as moving forward goes with the PlayStation IP, having Horizon definitely adds a lot to the lineup they have.
It fills in that Ubisoft gap, I guess, right? Like,
Yeah, basically.
like it fills in their Bethesda gap too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So-
it's because they don't have an RPG. They don't
No,
have
they
like their
don't.
own RPG series, but now they do. Honestly, something that could probably even be closer to filling Uncharted's gap is something like Days Gone, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it is more obviously shooting focused, and that
It looks like a
world-
linear story-based thing.
Yeah, that world is going to be very interesting to explore. I'm not sure how open it's going to be, but
Days Gone?
yeah.
I mean, you have a motorcycle in that game. Maybe it will be.
I don't know. Like, it might be something more along the lines of Tomb Raider, or maybe even Final Fantasy 15 when it comes to the traveling. You know,
Like open-ended, but like
it's still sort of like it's giving you a path.
it's more of a backdrop to everything else.
Yeah,
I think Tomb Raider actually does feel like it makes good on that, where it's like has you almost very Metroid-like, where you get this item, then you can go back to this area. Well, at least the first Tomb Raider was like that.
well, it's good to hear that Horizon is.
It's super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see where it goes over the next couple of years and what Guerrilla has to show at next year's E3, not this year's, because they're obviously not going to show anything unless there's DLC for Horizon, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's been made yet, if it is. They should put Norman Reedus in the game.
That'd be cool.
I would pay $20 for that.
I mean, it's probably going to be the closest we'll get to seeing him in a game for the next 4 years.
Probably.
Yeah, well.
Kojima is in the thank you section of the credits.
Oh yeah, I saw that on, I think, Reddit earlier today. That was cool.
There's actually a bunch of staff from old Kojima Productions in there.
Was it just
So-
like as a thank you, or did they work on it?
It was a thank you.
Oh, that's cool. Well,
Special thanks or something.
yeah, well, they've been working with Guerrilla because of the engine, right?
Right, for Death Stranding, yeah.
Mhm.
They're using the same, I think they call it the Decima engine.
Yeah.
Which, Horizon kind of does feel kind of Metal Gear Solid 5-like in some places.
Mhm.
Because it's so open and you can kind of see how Kojima would make a game on that. But also, I hope Death Stranding isn't really like Metal Gear Solid 5 at all. Despite me loving Metal Gear Solid 5, I would just like Kojima to do something different.
It doesn't seem like it's going to be a very shooty game from what we know about it so far.
Well, there was that tank.
Yeah, that's true. And
Mads Mikkelsen or whatever had that gun.
Yeah.
And those soldiers with the guns. It'd be cool if you never get a gun in that game, though. I'd be down with that.
Mm-hmm. It's just because of like how strange it seems. I feel like they could take it sort of like a metaphysical route as far as combat, but I don't know.
It could be crazy, man. I bet you like Norman Reedus could have ability like Fortune from Metal Gear Solid 2, where he just doesn't, bullets just don't shoot him. And I bet you will see several like vamp-like villains in that game.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot. Because Sony's showing so much confidence to throw like, I don't know, like probably like $200 million at Kojima and welcoming him into their studios. Especially when apparently his Metal Gear Solid 5 didn't exactly, I guess it broke even, but it probably didn't show too much profit for Konami. So much that they decided to basically get out of the video game industry.
Yeah, true. Except for Bomberman.
Except for Bomberman, which that's the anomaly this week.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what PlayStation has on the horizon.
Ah,